All right, so one of the things that we got is, when does the enrollment course actually due? So actually, enrollment course is not due until before you start trainings this summer. So training starts at the last week of June. And so you have that whole time to complete the enrollment course. The enrollment course is a self-paced, you know, that you go through course. And it's about 20 hours worth of work, but you can divvy it up however you want to do it. It does the self-checks at the end of each module, and it is something to really get you in the right mindset and prepare you for training. With that said, as most of you have had welcome calls with me, the most important thing for you to focus on right now is your Praxis 2 and Praxis Core. So the enrollment course is although it's super important and it's super helpful, it is not the most important thing for you to focus on right now. It is, your testing is going to be super important in terms of getting your certification, but even more urgently, helping you to get employed as quick as possible. And from the welcome calls, we want to let people know that one of my jobs is to help you get hired as soon as possible. And so having that test and focus on those practice tests is key. So the enrollment course is not due until before PST. You have some time to do it. We prefer you to, and strongly urge you to focus on your Praxis Core, Praxis 2 testing well before the enrollment course. The other question that we got was that, dates on training. So right now, training is slated to start at the end of June. So we usually are in a school or work within city schools around their summer school dates. Those haven't been decided yet, and we'll have those dates in the coming month or so. But over the past 3 or 4 years, we've always started that last week in June. So if you're making plans for family and just summer plans, you can plan on that last week in June, starting and being a part of training with us.
Sean, can I add to that really quick?
Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, if you're trying to make plans around PST, I'm going to give you some dates, but please make sure that you know that these dates are tentative dates because of all of the information that Sean said. Right now, we have planned on PST starting on June 23rd. That is a Wednesday, and going through July 30th, which is a Friday. That will put us at the 6 weeks of training. So if you are out of state or you need to make decisions around that, that could be helpful in planning.
Thanks, Tavon. The other question that we got is, when do we expect to see school positions availabilities? So that is up to city schools once they figure out positions that they have available for outside candidates. But that usually is in May. And so if you've had a call with me or hear from any of us or been on any one of these sessions, we're telling you that they give opportunities to be on job fairs, to meet with principals, but you have to have those tests, Praxis and Praxis 2 completed in order to do that. And so for anyone looking to get hired as soon as possible, the best way to do that is to get testing. We will likely hit peak time after May, but it starts in May. So you want to make testing and planning for testing according to that. Other than that, there weren't any questions particular about the enrollment course, probably because a lot of you have just started doing the enrollment course and not knowing what the enrollment course is. So what I wanted to do was kind of go through that. But before I do that, I wanted to make some introductions of some staff that we have online. You just heard from Tavon. Tavon is our director at BCTR. He is over the summer program, but also the year-round 2-year residency program. So anything BCTR, he is our director. We also have Christine Love, who is our TNTP partner. She oversees our program and other programs in TNTP. And then we have 2 of our coaches online. We have Yab Boyson. And she is one of our coaches. She is also our representative for the BEEC. I know you guys have questions about BEEC, and Ya is the person that is in charge of that for BCTR. And then we also have Shanita Simpson. She is on the line as well. She is one of our coaches, and she is also, along with Tavon, have gone through the BCTR program and have taught in Baltimore City and are now working at TNCP in the BCTR program. So a couple of things. So the enrollment course has 6 parts to it. So it's broken down in a way to help you get an idea of not only the program that you're going to be a part of with TNCP and BCTR, but also to give you an idea of what is it like to teach, what is it, the challenges and opportunities in teaching and teaching in a district, and also how are we going to train you to be a teacher that is going to be able to impact your classroom, start strong this summer, and give you the right tools for that. So all that is packed into the enrollment course. It is nothing that goes in super in depth, but it does touch on a lot of things that you're going to be really going into depth in during PST. So for the first module that is on there is really about understanding the education system, understanding TNTP, understanding BCTR, and just the system that you're going through. It is really just an introduction to an overview of the teacher training alternative certification training program that you're going to be a part of this summer. The second module is talking about understanding yourself and as a teacher, and who your personality and understanding how you communicate and your worldview in terms of teaching. The third module is really going through and understanding standards and understanding why they're important, how they impact your teaching, how they impact your district, and how they impact your kids, and how you will work to understand them and make them work best for you, and how to incorporate in an engaging way those standards to your students. The fourth module on there is understanding how to build an inclusive and safe classroom so that you can have a space where you can foster learning in that in your space, with having control over things you have in your classroom so that your students are
historical data and some of the examples.
And so having that space where you can help your students achieve and grow and feel like they are meeting their educational goals in a way that they feel safe and they feel included and they feel that they can explore in ways that will help them be their best. The fifth module is really talking about diversity. So diversity in learning, different learning styles for your students, diversity in your learning styles and what you understand and how you process information, learning about different ways that other people and your students may process information. But it's also diversity in community of your students and where they're coming from, and understanding maybe their challenges or opportunities that they have, and being able to incorporate that into your classroom as well. The last thing on there, the last module, is what we're expecting from you from PST. So it has a lot of information about how you'll go through your field experience, how you'll be trained on the basic foundational teaching techniques, meeting with the small groups to learn how to deliver content in an age-appropriate, grade-appropriate way, and just learning how to be successful and what we're going to be looking for in the PST experience. So that's a grand overview of what is in the enrollment course. So at this point, I want to invite our coaches and Tavon to talk a little bit about the PST experience as it relates to those modules in the enrollment course. And I'll start with Tavon just to give an overview and just a little bit of background about who you are when we come on, and let our current incoming cohort know about you and the PST experience.
Thanks, Sean, and thanks for that overview. As Sean mentioned earlier, I'm Tavon Lawrence. I'm the site director for the Baltimore City Teaching Residency. In the site director role, I oversee everything BCTR and work with this wonderful, wonderful team of folks. As Sean alluded to, the enrollment course is about getting you prepared for pre-service training, especially for our people who haven't been in a pre-K to 12, education setting in a while. It's a good opportunity for you to tap back into that, as well as to get aligned with the TNTP mission around education and how we support our students and why we do this work. A lot of people always ask, like, what should I be doing? What book should I be reading in order to get prepared? And a lot of that is in the enrollment course. PST is a lot. It is 6 weeks of a really rigorous training program. And we say that to people every year. And they get the PST and they're like, this is really hard. And I heard you all say it, but I didn't believe you. But going through the enrollment course can help you get ahead of the game. You'll be familiar with some of the terms and some of the teach like a champion techniques and just the way we do things around BCTR. So doing that, can get you ahead of the game. I'm gonna reiterate what Sean said a little earlier. The enrollment course is important for getting you set up and ready for PST, but not more important than your certification testing that you need to take to enter PST. And so if you are someone who haven't taken those tests yet, you haven't submitted those tests, be sure that you are making that your first priority and the enrollment course your second priority. So study for those tests, take those tests, get those passing scores or qualifying exemption, and then focus on the enrollment course. And then after that, we'll see you at orientation day, preview day, and at PST. And Sean, I'll hand it back over to you or to any of the coaches or Christina fill any gaps.
No, thanks, Tavon. I appreciate that. And next, I'm going to go throw it over to Ya. Ya is one of our coaches. She didn't go through BCTR, but she did go through a TNTP alternative certification in New York. And also, Ya is, like I said at the beginning, is our liaison for the BEEC program. So yeah, we did have some questions from people about what is the BEEC and those things. So I want to throw it to you to talk a little bit about your experience about not only going through an alternative cert program, but also as a coach, but also to add some information about BEEC.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. I'm like, what can I tell you guys? So as a coach, first of all, it's very exciting to see all of your wonderful faces and the fact that you guys have really begun a very challenging, but also super fulfilling journey. And I think that's very important to call out and underscore from Tavon's previous comment. It is challenging, but it's also super fulfilling. And those two things come hand in hand in education and actually in PST as well. I think things that I'll call out to you guys about.
Oh, yeah, you went on mute.
Sorry, my hand hit the mute button. I think I'll call out that you'll have a lot of support during the summer. You see just a couple of us coaches on the call right now, but during the summer, you're going to have a lot of support from our coaches and our instructors and our field experience managers, right? And so know that even though the journey may be challenging, we are committing to your journey and your success in the same way that you're committing to this program. And as a result, all of us that are coming into the program are really going to do our best to make sure that we really help you develop the skills and the knowledge that you need to step into the classroom and be ready to make sure the kids are learning. Things that I'll call out for you are like, I'm sure there are things that you want to learn as teachers. I promise you will learn what you need to learn during the summer, where you're going to have a lot of support around lesson planning, how to really build a strong classroom culture, and really build real strong relationships with students beyond the classroom. Just the summer is just a lot. you'll learn a lot, but it also is a lot, I think is what I'll call out. In terms of the BEEC, the BEEC is really on a bigger scale, our attempt to make sure that we diversify the teacher workforce in Baltimore, and we have the BEEC at other sites as well. And really this comes from the fact that as a field, we know that we are recruiting teachers of color. However, we're not being as successful in retaining teachers of color. And so the BEEC is our attempt to make sure that we are providing our teachers of color, specifically the Black teachers that come into our program, with the additional supports that they need to address some of the barriers that we have discovered are unique in the journey of teachers of color when they are attempting to get into the field and once they actually are in the classroom. And so residents who participate in the BEEC engage in sessions that are intended to cultivate habits and dispositions around resilience. They have mentors that they engage with that are former BCTR alum. And this year, something that I'm excited about is that we are kicking off a tutoring program to help our residents actually prepare for their exams, in addition to providing some support for the financial barriers that they experience in relation to paying for certification exams. But I would say that's like my big sound bite. Were there specific questions? Did I address them, Sean?
No, that was great. It was really just getting some information about the BEEC and then just your experience as a coach and what people will learn through that experience. So that was perfect. Thank you.
Good.
And then I also want to introduce Shanita Simpson. She is one of our full-time coaches as well. And I know Shanita is in and out on our lines, but I wanted to see if Shanita, are you online that you can talk about your experience as a resident and as a coach? I think Shanita is still offline. And so we'll bring her on when she comes back in. So I basically want to open up the time that we have here left for some questions that people may have about the enrollment course or about PST and training and things of that nature. I know in welcome calls, I kind of do a general overview, but you have our director and one of our coaches here to answer some questions that you may have. And you can either ask a question in the chat, or you can come off mute.
I had a question about transcripts. Are we submitting our transcripts to Baltimore City, or is that something that you guys are doing?
Yes, so in your task that you have, that you come each week, there is a button to submit that transcript. That transcript comes directly to us and we submit it. I am aware of this week, City Schools did send some of you a request to get transcripts. You can ignore that email. If they need transcript information, they'll come to me directly. Just continue to follow that checklist item. And when you do have the request, put it in there, but the actual transcript has to come directly from your university to us. And there, when you click that task item, it has all the instructions how to deliver it either digitally or in regular snail mail form. The digital is probably the best way. It's probably cheaper, and we get them usually the next day for digital transcripts. But overall, if you did get an email from the district saying they needed your transcripts, you can just disregard that email, and we will work with the district around transcripts because we'll have them from you directly from your school.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I don't know if you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 questions, actually. The first one is, as far as the exemptions for Praxis 1, I know last time we chatted, I think I was in a meeting with you, Sean. There was something with the GPA that was being figured out or not, the college GPA, and then the SAT scores. So I had a question about whether there's been any updates on that. And then if we do need to get the SAT score sent over, who do we send it to?
Yeah,
That's my first question.
Yeah, great. I'll address the GPA one first. So many of you probably seen, especially when you register for tests, either for Praxis Core, Praxis 2, that there's some language around if you have a 3.0, then you do not need to take the Praxis Core. And so it is a very confusing, and that is a piece of legislation that passed a couple years ago, but it did not, because of some of the language in the policy, did not apply to alternative certification programs. So that includes us, Teach for America, Urban Teachers. And so over the past year and a half, our team, especially Tavon, has been working with the state board to have that language changed over. And there is legislation in to do that. And it's moving in a positive direction. I say that to say this, that is not available to our residents at this point. We are hoping that soon that it will be, but at the moment, that 3.0 exemption is not available to alternative cert residents, i.e. BCTR, Teach for America, Urban Teachers. And so any updates that we get on that, we will let you know. Believe me, you'll probably hear us screams of joy over those passing before you actually get the emails from us, because we are very much for it. And I think it will help a lot of you who I know have 3.0 or higher transcripts, save some money and save some headache in taking an exam or looking for an SAT, ACT score that you took maybe years ago. As far as if you have an SAT, ACT, or GRE score that is a qualifying exemption, please just email it to me directly. This, unlike the transcripts, you can just email me the documentation that you have. It can be the official score report or a score report. It just needs to have your name, the scores clearly laid out, and then ID number. And so any official document that you have with that, send it to me, I can let you know. You can also upload that in your task as well under Praxis Core. There is a section for you to do alternative scores like SAT, GRE, and ACT. Tavon, did you want to add anything about the 3.0?
No, I think you covered it all. We have been partnering with the state and advocating for this regulation to go through. One thing I would add, though, is that some of the hesitation, and this has been for a couple years, one piece of hesitation that the state had was the adoption of what's called the Blueprint for Success, which aligns a lot of that language with the regulatory language with the state. That bill did pass and is now law. So I believe that the regulations will now pass, but we're just waiting. And we should, know for sure something by around April. But again, I would not wait for that because we thought the same thing last year, and folks decided to put it on hold. So the best thing to do is, if you're concerned about Praxis Core, dig up your SAT scores and see if they qualify as an exemption. Sean has been sharing information about the ACT when that is available, and then also taking advantage of things like the Khan Academy course to prep for Praxis Core and take that exam. But like Sean said, we'll be screaming from the mountaintops, and you'll hear us as soon as that regulatory language changes.
Yeah, thanks, Tavon. We got a couple of things in the chat. One of them is asking if PST will be online or in person. So we would love to be in person. I think that you get the most out of being in person. Last year, PST was online, and in doing so, I think it prepared our residents to really be in the environment that they're in now, which is online. And we learned a lot from that experience. And there's some things that we are going to be taking into even when we are fully in person, and keeping some of those strategies and things that we learned as just a pure online PST. This year, we are, as a staff, planning to be 100% online right now. That is our plan. That is what we're working towards, so that we can be prepared to have the best PST experience for you. The caveat is that currently Baltimore City is moving to do everything hybrid up to, I think their goal is to be by mid-March, that all students will have an option to be hybrid. Some of our residents are transitioning into that, and we're providing some extra coaching and support to them, and we're kind of monitoring that situation. It is going to be a slow process over. And so we are still thinking that we're going to be 100% online. But if it turns out that this is super successful and things are safe, then we will implement some more hybrid models into our PST. But at the moment, we are looking at a pure virtual. Ya or Shanita or Tavon, I know you guys are working with the details of PST. Anything else you want to add about the online PST this year?
I was looking at seeing if she wanted to jump in, but no, I would say again, like Sean, you're spot on. We are planning to be fully virtual, with the potential that city schools may come to us and say, we're actually having summer school, and your folks need to be a part of that. If that is the case, the plan is to do our field experience, which is the teaching experience that happens in the morning, to do that in person and on site. And then we would then do the balance of PST, which would be the actual coursework and the sessions. We would do that part virtually. What I will say is that it is extremely important that you are making plans to be here in Baltimore regardless, because like things can switch in an instant. So if you are not local, you want to start thinking about a transition plan in order to get here for pre-service training, so that you are here if the district is like, all right, let's go in person. But other than that, I think you hit it on the nail on the head, Sean.
Excellent. I had a couple other questions here about checklist items and looking for items that have been completed to be out of review. I am working through a lot of those. If you have a specific question about a checklist item, let me know. Resumes take a little bit longer. So I know a lot of you, we've gotten some reviews of resumes out. Some people still may be looking out for those, and we'll likely catch up next week with those. But if there's some other items like contact info, those can be reviewed fairly quickly. So just send me an email and I will let you know about any of those items. Another thing about transcripts, I know some of you I've had conversations with you that your transcripts are going to be conferred in May, and had conversations with you, which is fine. Things you need to do is find out the exact day the conferred degree is going to be available to your university is going to be able to give it to us. That date is going to be important because I put that in your file. And then if there's any other additional questions around transcripts being conferred this year, please let me know. But the deadline is the end of May, first day in June to have those in. Someone asked about BCTS teacher. So I see that you're ESOL teacher. We don't certify in ESOL, so you wouldn't be able to be an ESOL teacher. If your school had a position that was aligned with your subject area, then that is something that we can talk about, but you would have to be teaching in your subject area in your grade level. And I think this is good for everyone to know. When you're taking a position, you have to teach in your certification area. So if you're biology, you have to teach biology. You can't teach any science. It has to be biology, and it has to be anywhere between 7th and 12th grade. Same thing for elementary ed. It has to be 1st grade through 6th grade, or early childhood, pre-K to 3rd grade. So those things are important. They're required by the state for you to do and to be in that position during your residency with us.
Sean, I've got a really quick question just
Sure.
in direct response to that. Is it possible and acceptable to teach with both within your fields and others, or yeah, that's my question. Simultaneously teach in 2 different spots?
2 different schools or 2 different subject areas?
2 different subject areas. Like, so I'm biology, secondary biology. Is it possible that I could be primarily secondary biology and then have an odd chemistry course or something like that?
The answer generally is no. I mean, technically that is something that's possible, but the certification board and the city are very strict on some of that. And there's a little bit of wiggle room, but for the most part, we say no.
Got it. Thank you.
And just to follow up on that as well. So if you, let's say, so I'm an ESOL teacher, but I have to get certified in, in like 2nd grade since I chose elementary ed. Would I be able to be at the 2 schools that I'm currently at, or do you guys is the placement pretty random?
No, so that's a great question in terms of like job placement. So during the summer, you're going to be placed in a field experience that is available. But for your position, you're going to interview for a job position that is available in city schools. Most schools are available. The last 2 years, they've given us a partner school list, which is, most of the schools, except for a couple of schools, a handful of schools that aren't on that list. And we'll talk more about that as the hiring season goes. But you're going to be interviewing for a position. So you'll actually are empowered during the hiring season to make a choice for a school that's going to be good for you, that's going to be a great community fit for you. And so you'll make that choice. They'll either offer you a position and you can make the decision like, hey, this is going to be a great place for me, or no, I think I need to move to a different spot. And so you have that autonomy while you're searching for a position. We give you a lot of support in finding positions. The thing that we do ask for you to do is when you do get offers for a position, that you need to talk to me particularly about the position. I can give you backgrounds on residents that we've had at this school, either currently or alumni, and let you know a little bit about some of the opportunities that they had, some of the challenges that they had, so that you can be more informed before you sign a contract for that school. Reason being, if you sign a contract for a school, you have to be at that school for 2 years. So you want to use your empowerment well in that process of looking for a position, because once you do decide and sign a contract for a school, you have to stay at that school during your residency time. And so we want you to be teaching's hard enough that first year anyway. We want you to be in a spot that you're going to feel supported in and feel like that is a great fit for you. Is going to be super, super, super important. I don't know if you had some, or Tavon had any additional about just placements in schools and how important that is after PST.
Yeah, hiring is like, you have some autonomy. Like Sean said, we do have a partner list that we get from the district, but you have a lot of autonomy in like being able to sit down with school leaders, either virtually or in person, depending on where the world is at that point, and making the selection about a school. Be smart about it. I always tell the story. I came through BCTR, and I went on an interview at a time in which kids were not at the school, but I went, sat down, did the interview. The interview was great. I toured the building, toured the campus, never saw instruction, never saw students, never saw any other teachers. And started my first day. I was like, whoa, what did I get myself into? so like that was a lesson learned for me. Like, make sure you ask the right questions, and the right questions are around like, I think someone was talking about ESOL. Like, maybe you want to ask questions about the ESOL population at the school. No, you can't teach ESOL, but maybe the majority of your class could be ESOL students, and you can layer in that support in that way. Asking questions around support and mentors, and success of first-year teachers at the school, challenges at the school, things of that nature. Those are all like questions that you'll want to ask, so that you do find a school that is the right fit for you. There's this balance of like maintaining the anxiety around, I need a job, I need to get a job now, and also finding a place where you can call home and you feel comfortable for 2 to 3 years.
I don't have much more to add to that. I think what you have both said is really important. Also, talk to your PST coaches and instructors during the summer. I think you can ask the right questions, right? Which is like the first step, and that's important. But of course, we all know how to like present really well. And some leaders, of course, will do that about their school as well. But you have a lot of knowledge in the staff that will be supporting you at PST. They know Baltimore, they know the schools. Ask them, is this a school that you see is a good fit for me? And I'll tell you that because we had a resident, I had a resident I coached this year who really struggled at her school because it wasn't a right fit for her, right? But she'd also had 0 conversations with any of her support staff during the summer, right? And so she didn't go in with all the information that she needed. So definitely, please ask your coaches, please ask your instructors.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump back in on that. Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that. This summer, the folks that you're going to be working with are teachers in the district. They're either teachers in the district or they're serving in some type of role. And a majority of people have either worked for BCTR before or they have been a BCTR resident. Trust the people who are your coaches. Again, I'm going to say trust the people who are your coaches. Yes, there's an evaluation that happens during the summer, and they are the people who are evaluating you. But at the end of the day, your coaches want to see you successful. And so if you come to your coach and you're like, hey, coach, I had an interview at such and such school, and I'm just trying to figure out whether or not this is the right move for me. And your coach gives you that side eye, and that coach says, you should keep interviewing. Don't take that as a suggestion. Take that as my coach is trying to tell me or give me a warning sign that this school might not be a great fit for me. Because your coaches are going to work with you like around the clock. They're going to know you. They're going to know what's going to be a good fit for you. And they also know the leaders at the school. So I'll say again, trust your coaches and your instructional staff at pre-service training.
Thank you, Tavon and Ya. And I'll just add one more thing. So like Ya and Tavon said, there are a lot of schools in the district that they have different communities, different just climates. Each principal has autonomy in their school. And so each school can have very wide, communities within that school. So a lot of that sometimes is the type of school that you'll get an offer from. And it may not mean that it's a bad school or a school that you shouldn't be at. It may be a school that you may take some more training and experience to be at. So we do have a number of schools in the district that are alternative schools, schools that try to help a certain group of students with particular challenges, and they may be great schools. But unless you have some either social service background or background and teaching long term, it may not be a good fit for a first year teacher. And I've had these conversations with teachers or residents who are like, no, I really feel strongly about the culture and what they're going for, which is great. But when we say that PST is hard, first year is harder. And you want to make it as smooth as possible for you because there's going to be a lot coming at you. And so you don't want to give yourself challenges that you won't be able to manage. And especially if that's something that is a passion of yours, you want to make sure that you're ready for it. So maybe a year after or 2 years, once you get your certification, you want to do that kind of work. That is great. But we are really looking out for you as a first year teacher to help you be successful, knowing that there's a lot of stuff that is going to come your way. One real quick thing that someone asked in the chat is about not being able to get into the enrollment course. So I know there's a number of you that have had some issues with the enrollment course getting in. I am working with the administrators for the enrollment course to get individual people. There isn't like a wholesale thing that's wrong. Honestly, it is just like, let me know if you're having a hard time in. There's a couple of things that I can do that can fix it. If those don't work, then I have to pull them in to do it. So just bear with us as we get those in. But I think the majority of you have accounts that are working. For those of you that do not, continue to just message me and I will work through to get your up and running on the enrollment course.
Hi, Sean.
Hey.
Hey, yeah, I'm one of them, as you responded. Thank you to my email. I have a question about, I completed 2 out of the 3 Praxis Core exams a couple of years ago. Do I need to add you as official, send it officially? I think it's like $50 as a recipient, BCTR?
No, not
or
if
can I just print off?
Yeah, you can just send me a digital copy. Again, it's just like with the SAT, ACT. It just needs to have your full name,
Okay.
your ID, and then the scores in order. So that ID is important because then we can look it up from there.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other questions as we look to close out our time together? All right, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about preview day. So hopefully it wasn't super confusing to get all these invitations at one time. But earlier in the week or end of last week, I sent out an invitation to preview day. So the email talks about what preview day is. It really is like a slice of what PST is going to be like. So you'll have a session with the coaches, but you'll also have time to get to meet your fellow cohort members, get to meet some of our full-time staff, but also some of our part-time staff that will volunteer. But we'll also have a panel of current residents and alumni to talk about their experience and that you can ask questions to. And then that invitation I sent out, you can put a question for them in there. It is really a great time to get a first taste of the PST experience and help you to be connected to us and to your fellow cohort members, and also to get some more confidence into the things that you're going to be learning this summer. We'll also have an orientation that's coming up. Those dates are forthcoming, but they usually have 2 options, one at the end of May, one at the beginning of June, and those will be coming out soon. But other than that, that is all that we have for you. We are super excited to see you guys. I know for coaches, they started planning PST back in January. They're in the process of moving positions around and coming curriculum and all that stuff. So they've been kind of just focused in on the details of it, but I'm sure it's really great for them to see actual faces and get inspired by you guys. And so I've been talking to you guys all along since last year. So I know a good number of you. Again, if you have any questions about enrollment or enrollment course or any of those things, please email me and let me know. I will work to fix any issues that you guys are having. But other than that, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. Any last words from our coaching staff or Tavon before we let everyone go for the evening?
I'm just excited to see you guys come summertime. So pass your Praxis scores and we'll see you guys in June.
Yeah, I'll echo what Sean said. What Ya said. This is a journey that you're about to step into, but it is a journey that is about hard work and dedication. But in at the end of that, on the other side of that, you're making a huge impact on students and communities. And so we can't wait to get started with you all. Continue to reach out to Sean. He is the man with the master plan, and he can answer your questions and get you all settled. And we'll see you in June.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye, guys. And I will be sending out this recording, if
you.
not tomorrow, early next week.
Great.
Thank you.
See ya. If you want to stick around, we can answer your question here. So yes, with the BW